asked me to come and speak, and I was a last-minute addition, in fact, just a couple weeks ago. I was so excited. I don't know if my mic is on anymore, but I think everybody can hear me. Yeah, I was so excited to be a part of this whole thing. And then when she told me it was S.O.A.R, success over all resistance, I couldn't wait to share my story. Because as entrepreneurs, some of you being entrepreneurs, you know that there are times where you're going to fall. And it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. There are multiple times that you may fall, but at the same time, it's up to you to not let that define you. It's up to you to rise back up from that fall and push yourself back out there, because you do not stay stuck. And my tissue, because I may tear up for this one. So I'm the type of speaker that loves to share a story. Whoops, here you go. My story. I love to share my story, and in that, give you some lessons. I do a weekly reflection video. In fact, Gillette found me through that just a couple days ago and empowered me some more when she sent me a message the next day saying, your messages are what got me to buy a ticket to this event just so I could meet you. That is beautiful. That means that I'm doing something. I'm impacting a life somehow. So to know a little bit about my story, I am a business owner, like Daniel was saying. I've been in business since 2004. I only worked for corporate for a couple of years before deciding to hell with these people. I can't do this. I'd rather be on my own, do my own thing, make my own living, live my life. I didn't have children at the time yet, but my why was to be able to have the best of both worlds. I wanted that balance. I wanted to be with my family. I always wanted to be in the moment and also help other people. So I had a marketing company. I owned an event planning company, so I was Tamika. We both showed up wearing very similar dresses today in some sandals, because I've done this, and it was just funny because the women speakers are changing to their heels. So I know this game. And then I also ran a national networking organization for women mom entrepreneurs called the Mom Eat Club. In 2015, I hosted a very successful event in Huntington Beach called my Mom Entrepreneur Celebration, and then the world stood still. Even though it was super successful, I had one of those falls. I could not figure out how to lift myself back up and push myself back out there, because as entrepreneurs, there's going to be some times in there where you wonder if you're on the right path. How many of you felt that way? Is what I'm doing really what I want to do? It might have been before, but is it the same path that I want to stay on? I started to question if this is what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I started to transition to what it is now. So my business is Tisha Marie Enterprises, and it is a combination of everything that I love to do, and empowering other entrepreneurs, and being a business mentor and marketer, and helping them, and creating events that I myself would go to. I don't plan events that I would not buy a ticket to. So that is really what I love to do. Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit to December, and this is a story I'd like to share with you, which is filled with so many life lessons that we're going to go through in a little bit. So in December, just recently, right before the new year, I was on a high. I had just gotten a new client. I came off of a successful event. Things were rocking and rolling. And I get an inquiry through my event planning website, which I wasn't even working anymore, my Details Event Management site. I get an inquiry. And I should have said no, but I entertained this. A gentleman had asked me if I would plan an event for him. And he sent it through my website, an inquiry that said, I want to do an event for 45 people, a wedding anniversary, for my wife. It was so good. He even told me everything that he needed. I need chicken dinners, cheesecake, drinks, I need the bar, I need all of these things. And who am I to say, okay. I said, okay, I need a deposit. I need a signed proposal. I need all these things. We have these processes in place in our business to protect ourselves. But there's times where maybe that protection isn't enough. So I started working with this gentleman, and we were in constant communication, and he gave me 2 sets of credit cards. 2 credit cards. One was my payment. The other was to pay for some vendor fees. And I said, that's fine. This is protocol. Because Tamika can attest to this, when you're planning an event, it is not uncommon to get a very large sum of money to then disperse it out to all of the vendors, because our job as entrepreneurs is to make it easier on our clients, right? We are in the business, just like Vern was saying, to serve other people, to make it seamless. So I end up working with him, and he asks me to do one small thing. He says, take this money and go to a Wells Fargo account and put this into my driver's account. And I said, okay, all right, this checks out. I looked into everything. It was the right account number. It was the right person. Everything was fine. This was Friday before New Year's. I ended up doing that and going about my business. And on Monday, I was like, something's really off here. What is off with this picture? I remember going to my husband and telling him the same thing. What is off with this picture? And he's like, I don't know. He's not an entrepreneur, so he doesn't know. He's like, whatever. 2 days later, I'm working on this event. I get a call from a woman in California who shares with me that this was her credit card and that he had been using stolen credit cards to pay me. So can you imagine being on a high and all of a sudden feeling like you've just fallen to the ground and you don't know how to get yourself back up? What do you do in that situation? That same week, I was to empower and inspire a room full of people at my anniversary luncheon. Some of you know, I know Lisa's in the room. I was giving a grant. I gave grants to women that same week. How do you pick yourself back up from that situation? I ended up calling everybody I knew. I called the banks. I called MasterCard, and I said, I am the victim, and I'm just calling to protect your card holder. And they themselves were in disbelief. They're like, you are calling us to report fraud? Like, it was just crazy. I am a big believer in that someone is always going to try and destroy you in your business. And that there are angels among us that are always going to try and lift us back up and protect us. This lady should have never called me. If it were you, would you have called the person that ran your card, or would you have called the bank? I ask you that question. Why did she call me? Why did she try to protect me from falling deeper and deeper down? So when I spoke to MasterCard, they told me that I would not be held liable. They were very empathetic. You are the victim. You are not going to be held liable for any of this. And I said, okay. And I went about my day. And I went about it, letting it go and moving forward. 2 weeks later, January 20th, you guys remember we had some pretty good storms back in January. I was playing hooky with my daughter, and we went to Disney on Ice. She's 5 years old. We went to downtown Phoenix. And as I'm sitting there with my phone, an email pops up from Stripe, my merchant processing system, that MasterCard has now disputed it against me. And I am liable for every single cent of this. And that they are going into my bank account on Monday and removing all of the funds. Now, how do you stay positive at Disney on Ice? It's my question. I'm like, dang it, okay. Again, feeling that I had just overcome this, I was now brought back to this exact same space. So you have this power to make things right and to rectify the situation. I got back right away. I closed my bank accounts. I ended up calling whoever I could. I tried to rectify the situation as best I could. Called Secret Service. I even have a call with Nicole Price. Some of you may know her. She's the anchor woman for Channel 3 because we are about to blow this story out of the water. Because a lot of you need to know this as a business owner. So this is where the story lies right now. MasterCard has disputed this. I am fully aware that I am liable for this, but there's another angel in there. Wells Fargo put a flag on this person's account. This man can no longer go into a Wells Fargo account and withdraw or close his account. So even though MasterCard has disputed this against me, I feel that there's a bigger purpose here in informing other people and in going into Wells Fargo and shutting him down and getting him all the money back to pay back all those victims that he went after. There's definitely a silver lining in this. So a little bit of irony in this whole story. And, oh, I'm missing a part here. The day of the Disney on Ice, I went to my husband, and you can imagine feeling all of these emotions. I went to my husband feeling pretty ashamed and embarrassed. And the one thing that he told me when I told him was to get out of business. Not to say that he was not supportive, but I think when people try to protect you, your closest family and friends may not ever understand that you built this and you were not about to give it up. So to hear, get out of business, was pretty upsetting to me. And I started to feel that way. I started to go back to that place that I don't know if I'm cut out for this. How many of you have ever felt that way? You felt like that in your business, so what do? I immediately started talking to other people about it, and I shared it. I publicly shared it on LinkedIn. I publicly shared it on my posts, my weekly reflections. I started sharing this, and the response was amazing. I got all of these people in my corner, cheerleading me on, telling me I was brave, telling me I was courageous, telling me that they had learned something from my own experience that helped protect them in their business. Because I told you, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when something, maybe not this, will happen in your business if you're not careful. So I have a really good tribe of people that have lifted me back up and pushed me back out there. So right now, as I shared, I'm in this dispute, but I'm not giving up without a fight. And if any of you find yourself in this situation, do not give up. You get back up and you start fighting back. I find it ironic, a couple of things. I love to get up and speak and inspire other people. And a year ago, I said that I wanted to do a TED Talk. How many of you have done TED Talks? Maybe some of you speakers in the room have done TED Talks. I would love to do a TED Talk, and I could not figure out for the life of me what my material should be. And now I really feel like this mess has become my message. It's helping other people. And it's getting it out there. And that bad person is going to pay for this. You trust me. Here's the other irony. So Tamika, like I said, 2 weeks ago, calls me up, and I'm literally running to another event. Stopping off at Fry's to buy pita chips. And she's like, do you want to speak at this? And I'm like, absolutely. And I'm like, what's the date? She's like, March 18th. This event that I would have planned, this fraudulent event from the get-go, was just 1 month ago, February 18th. Here's the other ironic part. It was here. I was standing on the stage that I was about to put the deposits on. So if you don't think that that's irony, that last month I was supposed to be here planning an event with a total con artist who, it wasn't even an event, to hear telling all of you my story, I don't know what is. This is very ironic to me, but there's definitely a silver lining. So I'm going to just go through really quickly. You have a handout, and feel free to jot these down. I don't want to spend too much time because I know we have about 5 minutes. But I want you to stay the course. I want you to come up with your vision. I want you to come up with your plan and keep your focus. Had I said that, had I kept my focus, I don't think I'd be in this mess, but temptation is pretty strong. I told you, there are people trying to work against us to pull us back down. Number 2, trust your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, listen to your heart, listen to your head, and get out of there. It is trying to steer you in the right direction. Number 3, do your due diligence. Is it too good to be true? How many of us have asked ourselves that? Go out and ask somebody else. Tell them, is this too good to be true? Chances are it is, and you probably need to heed those warnings. This is so important to me. This is the only thing you have in business. Run your business with the utmost integrity. You have your reputation, and that is it. Don't tarnish your reputation. Do everything right. Always do that right thing, even when no one's looking. Surround yourself with positive influence. Find your tribe. When something like this happens to you, you need people to go to that can lift you back up and tell you that you're not alone, you're doing the right thing, you're going to keep moving forward. Learn to lean on others and ask for help. You know you don't have to do this by yourself. Ask people. I have a credit attorney. I'm good friends with the Secret Service, which I never thought possible, but me and Peter are like this. And Wells Fargo is actually helping me out. So, yes, ask for help. Don't feel like you have to be Superwoman or Superman doing it all by yourself. Don't let others keep you down. Oh, this is a big one. I just just told you my husband, and he didn't mean it. Because I swear, I was looking at classified ads that day. I was in such a low place that I was like, I'm just going to go work for somebody. And I know I'm better than that. But so when someone tells you that you're not cut out for this, you start to believe it. Don't believe it. Don't let these people keep you down. You keep fighting for what you believe in because you are not done yet. Share through your vulnerability. I could have really kept this to myself, but instead, look what happened when I opened it up and was vulnerable and started to share my story. It's just like Vern was saying, you create relationships with people through your stories. You create a much more meaningful connection when you start to open up and not keep it in. Not to mention, it's a lot healthier that way. It's more therapeutic to get it out. Learn to let go. You can't stay stuck. You can't keep this consuming your head. Remember, tomorrow is a brand new day. And last but not least, I love this message. I just shared it. But turn your mess into your message. Spin that negative into a positive. There's always a silver lining. I love that. I think that's going to be my TED Talk topic. And I want to say a final note. To the man that thought he could do this to me, he was very mistaken. Because I am not about to sit down and take this. I'm going to fight for what I know is right and help other people. I was just telling my good friend Erin, I'm like, I'm going to be freaking Robin Hood. You are. I'm going to go after Wells Fargo. I'm going to get all that money and give it back to the rightful owners. Because maybe they weren't strong, but I am. And I'm going to do this. Thank you. Yes. And and I'm stronger than that. And at the end of this, I'm going to keep soaring right on past him.